It was the fall of '98, and the leaves in the Cascade Mountains were a riot of gold and crimson. I was a young, maybe too confident, forestry student doing a solo research trip, mapping out old-growth timber stands. My mission was simple: spend a week in the deep woods, collect data, and get back before the first heavy snows. The first few days were textbook. Crisp air, the scent of pine and damp earth, the comforting solitude of the wilderness. I'd set up my camp in a small clearing, a good distance from any established trails. My little tent, a reliable sleeping bag, and a small fire pit were my home. It was peaceful, almost too peaceful. On the third night, things started to feel different. The usual nocturnal chorus of crickets and frogs was silent. An unnerving quiet had settled over the forest, the kind that makes the hair on your arm stand up. I was sitting by my fire, nursing a cup of instant coffee, when I heard it. A heavy footstep. Not a deer, not a bear. It was bipedal, slow, and deliberate. Thump. Pause. Thump. It was circling my camp, just beyond the reach of the firelight. My heart hammered against my ribs. I grabbed the heavy-duty flashlight from my pack, its beam cutting a sharp cone into the oppressive darkness. I saw nothing but a wall of ancient trees, but I could feel it. I was being watched. The footsteps stopped. The silence returned, but it was heavier now, filled with an unspoken presence. I sat there for what felt like an eternity, frozen, every sense on high alert. Was this a prank? A local trying to spook the city kid? It felt far too real for that. Then, I heard a sound that chilled me to the bone. A low, mournful call. It wasn't a growl or a roar. It was a sound of profound loneliness, a deep, resonant hum that seemed to vibrate right through the ground and into my soul. It was a sound that spoke of isolation. Slowly, cautiously, I stood up. My hand was shaking as I held the flashlight. "Hello," I called out, my voice embarrassingly frail. "Is anyone there?" The only answer was the echo of my own voice and the crackle of the fire. I spent the rest of the night with my back against a large pine, my hatchet in one hand and the flashlight in the other, jumping at every snap of a twig. Sleep was impossible. By dawn, I was exhausted and on edge, but whatever had been out there was gone. The next day, I tried to rationalize it. A bear, maybe. A weird echo, but I couldn't shake the feeling. I found tracks in the soft earth at the edge of my clearing. They were vaguely human, but far too big and wide. The stride between them was immense. I was a forestry student. I knew animal tracks. I'd never seen anything like this. Fear was a cold, not in my stomach. My first instinct was to pack up and hike out, but my research was important, and another part of me, the curious part, was captivated. I decided to stay one more night. That evening, I built my fire a little bigger, a little brighter. I sat with my back to a large boulder, giving myself a solid wall behind me. As dusk settled, the same oppressive silence fell over the forest, and then the footsteps returned. Thump, thump, closer this time. I could hear it breathing deep, slow breaths that fogged in the cold air, though I couldn't see the source. My blood ran cold. I didn't reach for my flashlight this time. I just sat, motionless, trying to make myself as small as possible. Then, something happened that I will never, ever forget. A large, dark hand, covered in coarse, dark hair, reached into the edge of the firelight. It was massive, the fingers long and thick. The hand didn't move toward me. Instead, it gently placed something on a flat rock just at the edge of the clearing. It was a small pile of something. The hand lingered for a moment, then retreated back into the shadows. I stared at the offering, my mind struggling to process what was happening. I could hear the slow, heavy footsteps moving away, back into the depths of the forest. It took me a full 10 minutes to build up the courage to move. I crept forward, my flashlight beam trembling. On the rock was a small, neat pile of wild berries and what looked like some edible roots I recognized from my botany classes. They were clean, carefully placed. It wasn't a threat. It was a gift, a peace offering. I looked back into the darkness where it had disappeared. The mournful call from the night before echoed in my mind. But this time I understood it differently. It wasn't the sound of a monster. It was the sound of a lonely creature. I picked up a single berry. I knew I shouldn't, but I felt compelled to. It was an acknowledgement. A thank you. I went back to my fire and ate one of my own granola bars, leaving half of it on the same rock. I don't know if it ever came back for it. I didn't hear it again that night. The next morning, the granola bar was gone. There were no tracks, no sign that it had ever been there, except for the pile of berries and roots I carefully packed away as proof to myself that I had lost my mind. I packed up my camp that morning and hiked out a day early. I never told my professor the real reason. How could I? He'd think I was crazy. People talk about Bigfoot as a monster, a fearsome beast to be hunted or feared. But what I encountered that night wasn't a monster. It was intelligent, shy, and seemingly alone. It wasn't trying to scare me. I think it was just curious. Maybe it saw my fire, saw me alone, and felt a flicker of connection. That offering of food wasn't an act of aggression. It was an act of communication. An attempt to share. It was the most profound and humbling experience of my life. A moment that changed the way I see the wild places of this world forever. There are more things in heaven and earth, as they say, than are dreamt of in our philosophy. Thanks for listening to my story. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more tailies from the edge of the map.